Hi there! I decided I'm going to do the Authortube Newbie tag since I just recently started out on Authortube. First one is, how did you find out about Authortube? So I found out about Authortube from looking up book trailers, writing tips on YouTube, and book reviews. Now I just actively watch a lot of Authortube and BookTube videos. I particularly enjoy watching videos from Alexa Dunn, Kate Cavano, and Mandy Lynn. And so I decided I wanted to start my own Authortube, especially since I recently started self-publishing my novels. Second one, what genre do you write in? The main genres I like to write in are young adult fantasy, especially fairy tale retellings and mythologies. I really like obscure mythologies and magical creatures. I occasionally do dabble though. I like to write some horror, a little bit of romance, and political satire, although for romance and political satire, if I do publish them, I'll probably do it under a pen name, just because I'm currently working as a teacher, so you know, those topics are a little bit more taboo for teachers. Third one, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? So I'm going to go in order. For tense, I really like to use the past tense. Specifically, I write a lot in third-person limited past tense. And as far as the category of story, I particularly like to write a lot of young adult and adult. Right now, the only one I have published is a young adult fantasy. And I also like to write third-person omniscient and first-person point of view, but the main ones that I've written so far have either been third-person limited or first-person multiple POV. Number 4, am I a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? One of my previous videos, I wrote that I am a pantser, but after thinking more about it, I guess I would technically be more of a plantser because I do a little teeny bit of planning. But for the most part, I don't really have an idea of where the story's going when I start out writing it. Like, I might have an idea for the end, but oftentimes I find, even when I try to outline it, I end up deviating pretty heavily from my little tiny half-page outline that I occasionally do. I usually just kind of start with a good idea, do a couple main plot points for the beginning and end, and then just write it. 5. Are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am self-published. My first book was called Spellbound, and it is a young adult fairy tale retelling. It's a novella. And I actually have another story that's going to be part of a new series, and I'm planning on publishing that in mid-June of 2020. But it might end up getting pushed up a little bit depending on how long everything ends up taking. Number 6. What publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? My dream publishing house would be HarperCollins. I really like a lot of the stuff that they write, so that would be my top pick. Although I do also really like Random House as well. I like the big publishers. And I do not have a literary agent, specifically because I am self-publishing. That's my plan at the moment. 7. What Authortube related videos can we expect from your channel? I plan on doing a lot of videos on editing and writing tips, especially tips on coming up with ideas and on writer's block. I come up with a lot of ideas, so people often ask me, like, where do you come up with your ideas? That's something I plan on doing for a video, although I haven't exactly decided how I'm going to tackle that one yet. And I have 1,000,001 tips for writer's block just because I get writer's block all the time. I also plan on doing a lot of things on writing and editing habits and the financial and marketing side of things because I do tend to track my spending pretty meticulously. I also plan on doing some videos on just self-motivation and organization, because those are things that in the beginning and even to this day I still really struggle with. So I'd like to be able to help other people that struggle with that as well. Some writing advice that I was given, like setting a certain schedule to write, ended up actually really hurting me because I'm not the type of person that operates well on a schedule. Sometimes I'll write first thing in the morning, sometimes I'll write just before bed, sometimes I'll write in the middle of the day. So for me, if I set a schedule, what tends to happen is I just won't do any writing at all, because I'll be like, oh, well, this time passed, so I guess I missed the boat on this one and I'll have to wait. Number 8, when did you start writing? In elementary school, I always really liked writing poetry and short stories. If you want to look me up to see some of my really earlier cringeworthy stuff, you can look me up on Writers Cafe or All Poetry. That's the stuff that I wrote in middle and high school and even some of college. And if you look at that versus my new stuff, it just makes me cringe. But you can look at it if you'd like. Number 9, what was the first story you ever wrote? It was in about 4th or 5th grade. I actually still have it, so I'm going to grab it in just a second to show you. I wrote a series of children's books and comics about superpowered dogs. Okay, so this is the first one. This was from elementary school. You can see my horrible drawings because I was in elementary school. And it even says written and illustrated by Julia. So yeah, and I wrote in cursive because, yeah, that's just how I am. But yeah, that was from when I was in elementary school. So yeah, I've been like this for forever. And this is the second one. And notice it says for ages 6 and up because I think this was actually the early one. I think this was from when I was in like kindergarten. But I still have it. This just shows what a sentimental piece of shit I am. I legitimately do not get rid of anything worth a damn. Like, if you look in my room, I still have notes from high school and college. I'm not even kidding you. I just went through some of my stuff and found notes from when I was in high school AP classes. So in case you're wondering how much of a clutter bug I am, yeah. You can see my little pictures that I drew. I also have like a little notebook somewhere that has like this, but in like flip book form. But yeah, that was from when I was in elementary school. That was my very, very first book. Okay, moving on. Number 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? I'm going to give you them in order because there are a few different ones, but these are my top. Maria V. Snyder, the author of Poison Study. She is the person that really caused me to want to research more whenever I'm introducing something like a new weapon or poisons and things like that. This is where my obsession with poisons came in. If you read my first book, you can tell, especially in Spellbound. So that's where that came from, Maria V. Snyder. You can thank her for that. Kristen Cashore, you can thank her for my obsessive world building. I will literally write like 10 to 20 pages of just world building, just as a side thing that doesn't even end up becoming part of the book. And some of it will happen in my head, and some of it will happen on paper. And my third one is Holly Black. She's the one that wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles. And this is where I get some of my really out-of-the-box ideas for creatures and creature creation. Number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or write whenever you find the time? So as you can tell from my answer to my previous questions, I kind of just write whenever I find the time, although I do try to write at least 4 to 5 times a week. However, when I'm editing, I generally tend to write a lot less. Number 12, do you write on a computer, typewriter, write everything by hand, or use a blend of both, and where do you write in general? When I was younger, I used to write everything by hand because I was really slow at typing. But now that I've improved my typing speed, like to give you an idea, when I was younger, my typing speed was maybe 15 to 20 words a minute. So it was just a lot faster for me to write things. But now it's about 45, 50 words a minute. So I use my laptop generally, although I have done a little bit of writing on my phone, especially when I travel, because the phone's just convenient to have with me. And as far as where I like to write, I typically like to write in my bedroom, but lately, because the internet's been really slow, I've been writing downstairs at the dining room table, which is really hard for me because everyone's home, so there's just a lot of distractions, and even with headphones, just the visual distractions really bother me. I also just don't like to write with any sound or any sort of visual anything. I am very easily distracted. If you've ever watched Up and you remember Doug, squirrel, that's me. I have squirrel brain. I can't focus on things very well. 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? I am most looking forward to getting to know other people in the Authortube community and interacting more as a fellow creator, because I've been watching a lot of Authortube videos. I see a lot of people that seem like really awesome people, so I would like to be able to interact with some of those awesome people. But that's all for me today. If you liked this video, you can go ahead and click that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks! Bye!